Thank you. I want to bring in Democratic Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari from Arizona. This is a tough time. This is a tough time for America, and it's a tough time for you folks on the Hill. Your Democratic colleague, Jared Moskowitz, said lawmakers from both parties are, and I'm quoting him, scared to death. What's your level of concern right now?
I feel that as well. It has been the topic of conversation for many of us, all of us in our caucus, for a long time now. And this year in particular, as we saw the assassination of two Minnesota lawmakers in their homes, I think that was really a big trigger for many of us. And we are very, very scared. Look, I think all of us know that there is a risk coming into public service, but you should not have to risk your life. You should not think that your husband or wife or your kids are in danger in their own home. You should not fear living your life and doing your job and getting potentially hurt because of that. So we are very concerned, and all of us are trying to share best practices of what can be done in terms of protecting ourselves. But we do need more support from Speaker Johnson because honestly, people would be surprised to know how minimal the budget is for this and how minimal security any of us have compared to sometimes other elected officials at different levels.
Yeah, you mentioned families. You heard what Speaker Emerita Pelosi had to say about how devastating this was. Obviously, her husband was seriously hurt, but for the family writ large, in the case of Charlie Kirk, I think the First Lady put it very eloquently when she said, and I'm going to misquote her, but she said, his two children will grow up with stories, not their dad. And so I wonder what your choice is right now. Are you canceling any events? Are you doing smaller, more private events? Have you made that decision yet?
We have started to just add a lot more security at our events. Before I used to be on the Phoenix City Council. Even then I had issues with stalkers, et cetera. But we never had, people go through metal detectors, or I never had personal security. The budget that was mentioned before, we've gotten some temporary and very limited funds for additional security. So now we are adding personal security to accompany me at events. I haven't canceled anything yet, but I do think we just look at everything very, very differently now. And the language and the threats are vile. Look, I think I'm so committed to bringing down the temperature. I think anybody with any sort of platform should take it very, very seriously in terms of how they talk about issues and be very clear that political violence is never an answer. I've dealt with this myself. I have had people like Laura Loomer with massive followings go after me, and that all you need to do is look at one social media post of mine to see the kind of vile, threatening, disgusting, terrifying messages we receive, and all of us deal with that. So we do have to take it very seriously. And and it's not just even about us. Our teams are very scared. We have interns in our office who answer the phones this week after this horrific tragedy. We started getting very vile, threatening calls to our office. These are interns with no mental health training or specific training to handle this. Then, of course, there was the bomb threat at the DNC, and we had interns who were scared to go home that day. So it's not just even about the elected official. It's anyone who's working in public service who's impacted by the heightened threat environment.
Yeah, and I don't have to tell you how important it is for you and for your constituents that you are available, that they could line up and ask questions or go to a town hall and ask questions. Some Republican members are arguing that members should not stop holding events. Senator Josh Hawley told NBC News, quote, "You can't give in to the violence if we all retreat into our private spaces and close our doors and stay behind our locked doors and windows and gates. We need the opposite of that. We need to be able to come together, even when we disagree." I mean, all members do want to meet their constituents. And frankly, if you want to get reelected, you better be out there in your district, right? But what is the way forward long term? Can you, at least in this moment, balance safety with wanting to serve the people who elected you?
Look, I'm not intending to retreat and hide in any way, shape, or form. My team and I, are working and trying to go above and beyond to make sure that not just I'm safe, but they are safe. And so we're looking at everything that we can do there. It's never going to be 100%. That's just what it is. I do think it's extremely important, though, that we also move into action. I personally would like to see the most senior officials in this country, from members of Congress, senators, the president, cabinet officials, talk about the importance of freedom of speech in this country and political violence being unacceptable at any time. People should be able to speak freely, have different views, and vehemently disagree about those views, but that should not result in violence. But the public needs to hear that from people with the biggest platforms, the biggest megaphones, whether they're elected or whether they're commentators or whether they're influencers. That's on all of us. And that's really just me. I'm hoping that this has just gone on way too far, and that people will realize that it's time to come back and unify as a country and respect one another.
Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari, thank you so much.